Let's welcome on Kendall Gammon, of course, former Chiefs player, our analyst on KCMO. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the next generation 10G network. Only from Xfinity, the future starts now. Kendall, what's it like for these guys when you're Patrick Mahomes, you're on the sidelines, you're kind of playing coach yesterday? He looked like he was having a great time doing it, by the way. Is there something about that for these guys is really enjoyable after a long season like this?
There is, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're getting to relax mentally as well, and you're able to enjoy it from a different point of view, and you get that rest. Plus, you're happy, you're in the playoffs, and I just think it's something, especially for somebody like Mahomes that loves the game like he does, just to still be involved only makes sense. But yeah, it is different, I think.
How about Kendall? Chris Jones, he gets his $1.25 million bonus for his sack. He needed 10 this season. He was sitting at 9.5. He got one in the game. Listen, he was clearly playing for the $1.2 million. He ran to the sidelines after that sack. His teammates appeared to know that he cashed in. And I don't know, I kind of liked the moment. It was a bunch of guys cheering for capitalism and cheering for their teammate. It was more than I expected, to be honest. What about you?
It is great, and it didn't surprise me. I've never seen something that much celebration, but it doesn't surprise me because the guys, they do know, and obviously this has been a public thing going on this last week, and the guys want the other guys to do well and get paid if they reach their incentives. But I thought it was cool. It really did bring the light, I think, to all of us outside the walls. How aware guys can be of other things going on, and if some of the purists are saying, "Oh, it's just about football. It shouldn't be about money." No, it's a business. It's about money also. It's not that it's the number one thing, because anybody would trade money for the most part to get that Super Bowl ring. But on the other hand, you do want to reach these incentives, and you have a small earning window in the NFL, and once it's over, it's over. So you try to get what you can. So I thought it was cool because the guys were genuinely happy for him.
Exactly, and I did not expect that. I mean, I get why he did it, but I didn't think he'd have teammates, jumping for joy for the guy just cashing in a $1.25 million check. Do you think he's going to be on the team next year, Kendall, Chris Jones?
I think if you look at the odds, it would probably say no, because I think you've got to make some decisions on who you sign. I think Carl Loftus is coming on that can help, of course, and he's on his rookie deal. Menahu is as well. They've got a good defensive front going on. They would love to have him. I don't mean it that they don't want him, but I think in the economics of things, I think L'Jarius Sneed will be somebody that you look at signing to a bigger contract instead, because he's younger and he has shown to be a lockdown corner. We won't know, obviously, but that's the direction I see it going.
Yeah. Kendall Gammon talking about the Chiefs. We know, Kendall, now this game is going to be Saturday night. It is going to be Tyreek Hill's return to Arrowhead. Let's first talk about the weather. It's going to be 0 degrees on Saturday night. I got to imagine the guys are aware of that. How do they prepare differently for this game, if at all, based on those expected temperatures?
Well, I think you generally will practice outside and get out there if you can, at least one day. Now, I've been to some coaches, though. Also, I remember coaching with Ramil. I mean, you did want to get out in the elements a little bit, but you also have to get your work done. Sometimes if the weather's not good during the week, you go ahead and go inside, even though it's not how you're going to play game day, because you need to get work done. But if they can, they'll probably get out some. Certainly, punter, kicker, long snapper will get out. They'll go up to the field during the week and be on it. But the big thing is, no matter what, the Dolphins can't simulate anything. They've got to practice in their weather, which is obviously decent. Maybe for them it's bad, but coming up here, it's a decided advantage when you play warm weather teams in cold like that. And I've played one game at -10, and it is a different beast when you play in these type of temperatures.
Yeah, well, the weather this weekend this week in Miami, 75, 79, 72, 74. I mean, they're doing okay down there. They certainly can't simulate what it's going to be like on Saturday. How big of an advantage is that based on what you just said?
It's huge because it's a shock. You can say you're going to be tough and you're ready to go and you can have your warm weather gear and they've got great technology these days. But when you get out there in it, Mother Nature slaps you in the face and you realize, okay, this is for real. Now, quite honestly, the warmest people in the stadium will be the players because of the technology they have and the warming, the benches that they have on the sideline and everything, and they'll be good. But you feel it. I mean, the hands will be cold, even though you've got, the gloves these days that are tacky and sticky and warm. I mean, they've got all kinds of different things, but it is different, and it's going to be interesting to see early on when the ball's in the air how the Dolphins do.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kendall. So if you're looking at this week now for the Chiefs, we've talked all season about the defense, some of the offensive struggles. Is this game almost made for how this team is built this season with the Chiefs, led by the defense and not really the offense?
Yeah, that's a good point, and it really is. I think this was the best matchup we could have gotten outside of maybe the Steelers, and it is. I mean, this defense in Kansas City has been playing well. This is what the team is built on this year. And even though we've got the sample size and we know what the Chiefs offense is and you don't expect it to change, the fact is you've always got a puncher's chance when you're dealing with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But this game, I think, does match up well for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Now, on top of that, when you look at the Dolphins, you mentioned, first off, Tyreek Hill coming back. How much, they've already played each other, but that game was, of course, overseas. How much of that is a player storyline? Are they really thinking about that? Or, hey, they've already played Tyreek and the playoffs are enough to get their juices going? Is that more of a fan thing than anything else?
It's a fan thing, you're right. But although it makes sense, I mean, I understand why the fans, but having been inside the locker room, it's the playoffs now, man. You're in the tournament. That's all you ask is to get in the tournament and have a chance. And anybody can get hot and go on a roll. So it's a big deal. I mean, obviously the guys understand that Tyreek's coming to town, and it is a neat storyline that it lines up this way. But when it comes down to it, it's the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think, Kendall? As we sit here, we'll talk about the game, of course, a little bit more on Friday. But what is this week? We got a snowstorm coming into town, as you alluded to earlier tonight into tomorrow. What does this week look like for this team as someone who's been in that locker room?
Yeah, well, they get started right away because it's a Saturday evening game, so they don't get the normal. They don't get the normal day off like they do, but they'll come in and start watching film. And this time of year you can't go into pads really, so they'll have shells on. So it's full speed, but it's not full speed where you're hitting hard and everything. But at this point of the year, it's more make sure you're healthy and the legs are ready to go, and make sure you've got a firm grasp of the game plan and what you want to do, and make sure the timing is there for things. It's during the week. It's not a physical thing. You've done that the whole season, and you want to be as healthy and as fresh as possible when that game or when that ball gets kicked off.
Well, we will, of course, be talking about it on Friday, getting set for the game. And Kendall, we always appreciate it, my friend. We'll talk to you later in the week.
Sounds good. Stay warm.
All right, you too. That's Kendall Gammon on KCMO. That cold weather is coming in.